I am 105 years old, and I am about to tell you something no one ever told me when I was young. Not my parents, not my religion, not the women who smiled politely and told me I had time. They didn't tell me because they were trying to be kind. But kindness can be dangerous when it hides the truth. I have been alive for over a century. I have never been married. I have never woken up beside someone who knew my body. I have never heard a child call my name in the night. I have never been chosen. Not fully. Not finally. Not in the way that changes a life. And now, at 105 years old, no man is coming for me again. But once, men were everywhere. When I was young, men noticed me before I noticed myself. They watched the way I walked, the way I listened, instead of interpreting, the way I smiled without trying. My name was Eleanor Whitmore. I was the kind of girl people said was special. The kind people told to wait. Don't rush, they said. You're rare, they said. Choose wisely, they said. And I listened. And those words felt like compliments. They told me I was rare, that I shouldn't rush, that a woman like me needed to be careful with her heart. So I waited. At 21, my younger sister Margaret got married. She was always the brave one, the loud one, the one who leapt before thinking. I remember helping her into her dress that morning. Her hands were shaking, but she was laughing through it. She said, I'm terrified, but I'm happy. I didn't understand that yet. At the church, people smiled at me with knowing looks. You'll be next, they whispered. I smiled back. That night, after everyone left, I went home alone. I sat on the edge of my bed, still in my dress, and stared at the wall. For the first time, I felt something I didn't have a name for. It wasn't jealousy. It wasn't sadness. It was the sound of a door quietly closing. Somewhere behind me, men came after that. There was Edward, kind and steady. He loved me without drama. Too simple, I thought. There was Arthur, thoughtful and patient. He wanted to build something slowly. Too slow, I thought. There was Henry, who saw me clearly, and frightened me with how serious he was. Each time, I said no. Not because I felt nothing, but because I was waiting for something perfect. I thought love should arrive fully formed. I thought fear meant something was wrong. I didn't know fear was the price of choosing. At 30, Margaret had her first child. 33, her second. At 36, her third. I held that baby and smiled. Everyone said I was such a good aunt. I gave the baby back and went home. That night, I lay awake wondering what it would feel like to be needed like that. I told myself I was lucky to sleep through the night. Those were half-truths, and half-truths can still ruin a life. At 40, I realized something quietly horrifying. No one was asking anymore. Men still spoke to me, but they no longer leaned in. People began to describe me with safe words. Independent, strong, self-sufficient. No one asked if I was lonely. No one ever asked if I was lonely. Loneliness doesn't announce itself. It convinces you it's peace. Margaret's house was always full. Noise, mess, arguments, laughter. When I visited, I helped clean up. Then went home to my silent rooms. Sometimes, when I closed the door behind me, the quiet felt so loud, it made my chest ache. At 61, Margaret called me crying. Her husband had died suddenly. I rushed to her, held her, slept beside her so she wouldn't be alone. And in the middle of her grief, I felt something shameful. I felt jealous because she had lost something, and I had never had anything to lose. That was the night I understood. Being untouched does not mean being unharmed. At 74, I fell in love for the first time. Yes, 74. His name was William. He was gentle, a widower, kind in a way that didn't demand anything. He once asked me softly why I had never married. I laughed and said, "Life just turned out this way." That was a lie. The truth was harder. I had weighted myself into emptiness. William died 2 years later. We never crossed that final line. I told myself I had been wise. But wisdom should not feel like mourning. Now I am 105. My hands shake. My body aches. My days blur together. But my regret is sharp. I don't regret not marrying the wrong man. I regret not choosing anyone when choosing was still possible. I regret believing time was gentle. It isn't. Time is neutral, and neutrality can be cruel. If you are young and listening, please understand this. Waiting feels safe. Waiting feels responsible. Waiting feels like control. But waiting has a cost. Options fade quietly. Doors close without sound. And one day you will wake up and realize you were careful with everything except your own life. I am not telling you to settle. I am telling you to be brave. To choose imperfect love over perfect solitude. To risk being wrong instead of being alone. Because one day, if you live long enough, you may reach my age and realize that waiting was the most dangerous decision you ever made. I am 105 years old. No man is coming for me again. This is not bitterness. This is clarity. Live now. Love while you are still seen. Choose while choice still exists. Because later never comes.